Chapter 21. Lyndsey Says Goodbye. It was Thursday morning at Herbert Street, and John had overslept soundly as befitted the usual plan for his regular day off. But now it was 10 o'clock and his phone rang. "Hello, Susan." "Oh, you sound all sleepy, sweetheart." "No, wide awake," he said, lying and yawning at the same time. Susan adopted her nasal accent that she used to warn people she wanted something. "Can you do me an enormous favour?" "What?" "It's Lyndsey. She's on her way to Australia." "Already? She doesn't hang about, does she?" "I'm quite upset about it, really. Sometimes she just doesn't think about how other people might feel, but it would have been nice for us to say goodbye or give her a lift to the airport or something. You know, people sometimes say they hate goodbyes. Well, Lyndsey really hates them. I think she just finds the emotion of parting too much for her. She did manage to phone me at least. She got a cancellation ticket. She's not emigrating or anything. Well, not yet anyway. Do you remember I said my brother Andrew was in Perth? She's going to stay with him for a while." "How long for?" "Oh, I don't know. She's done this lots of times in her life. Not emigrated, but left home or left the country never to return. When she was 6 years old and being naughty, she would be sent to her room, and then Mum and Dad would catch her walking down the road dragging a suitcase. Can you imagine that?" "Oh, yes, easily." "She says she's thinking of opening a dress shop and hoping Andrew will help her find one she can buy. On the other hand, she might be back next month." "What do you want me to do?" "She's still at Heathrow Airport. Her flight's been delayed, so she'll be there another 5 hours. She forgot to pick up some money transfers or something from Barclays in Barnet. Could you pick them up and take them for her? I'll pay for the petrol." "No, you won't," said John amiably. "You'll just have to be in my debt." "And how do I repay you?" "Don't worry, I'll think of something." "You're an angel." "I know. The bank will be okay if you have some identification. Lyndsey is at Terminal 3, the 4720 Qantas flight to Sydney. Give her my love, won't you?" "Of course, but I don't much like the way she's treating you." "Us." John marched in through the automatic sliding glass doors into Terminal 3 passenger concourse. He followed the signs to the Qantas check-in desks and found there were 4 motionless queues of people. Some were sitting on the floor, while single limp figures guarded bags and suitcases for their partners or relatives. As John arrived, many of these people stirred into life as uniformed women and men appeared at the check-in desks and began to switch on the lights. He dialed Lyndsey's number on his mobile phone, but it was engaged. He walked slowly along the queues without success. "I would have thought she would have been easy to find. Maybe she's dressed as a nun or a kangaroo or something." He stopped beside a young woman sitting on a huge suitcase reading a storybook to a small boy. She had straight bobbed blonde hair which just reached her shoulders and wore a dark green tailored jacket and skirt. People in the queue were beginning to move, so John dialed Lyndsey's number again. "Hello, John. I'm near the check-in desks," said the young woman in the green suit, turning round. "Ah, there you are. Just a minute." The small boy's mother collected her son and thanked Lyndsey for her kindness. "I hardly recognised you," said John, handing her the parcel. "I've never seen you looking so smart and with hardly any make-up. Thank you for getting these for me. Were they okay at the bank?" "They just looked at my driving licence. Parking was a nightmare, though." The queue moved forward a little, so John dragged her suitcase for a couple of metres. "What have you got in here? A pair of anvils?" "Look, don't stay. It'll cost you a bomb for car parking." "I'm all right. I bought an hour's worth, which is the cheapest rate anyway. I'll just stay till you're checked in, just in case, you know. In case I bugger something else up." It seemed to John that Lyndsey seemed vulnerable suddenly. Something else he had not experienced before, but still he said, "You seem to know what you're doing, as always." "Is that what you think?" "I hope so. You're taking quite a big leap into the unknown. Is that right?" "I've done it before. Besides, it won't be that much into the unknown. I've got to see if I can make a living first, then I'll buy a shop like I had in Barnet. Or I might buy a house and take a lease out on a shop. I don't know, really. I'm going to have to suck it and see." They arrived at the desk and Lyndsey checked in her bag and herself without mishap, apart from the man behind the desk asking if they were travelling together. This resulted in a barely noticeable pause before Lyndsey said, "No, it's just me," without looking at John. Then, when she was armed with her boarding pass and relieved of her suitcase, she said, "I've got ages before I have to go through to departures. Can I buy your coffee?" John glanced at the huge clock in the middle of the hall. "OK, I've still got half an hour." When they were sitting down, he said, I'm sure you'll be all right, but I just wish someone was going with you. By the way, why did you give up on your hypnotherapist?" He looked up at Lyndsey and was shocked to see her purse her lips before huge tears ran down her cheeks. John passed her the little metal box with paper napkins in. She grabbed a handful and dabbed her eyes and cheeks and chin and blew her nose. "I'm sorry. This is so silly. You weren't meant to see this. I thought I was strong enough. I was sure I could hide it all." She took a deep breath, followed by a massive sigh and 2 huge sobs. She looked at John with moist red eyes. "I'm fine now. Honestly." "Oh, sure, and I'm the Queen of Sheba." "All right, here it is. There is no Adam White. Well, there is, and he's a hypnotherapist, and he stopped me smoking. But it's not him I've got a crush on. It's you. I just couldn't bring myself to tell you. How could I? I shouldn't be telling you now, I suppose, only it doesn't matter so much if I'm not going to be around, does it? Did you have any idea? Say something, for Christ's sake!" "Just give me a second," said John, rubbing his eyebrows with his knuckles and then blowing his nose on some paper napkins. "They're going to charge us for these if we're not careful." He looked at Lyndsey very briefly, then began screwing up the napkins into a tight ball. After about 20 seconds, which seemed a lot longer for Lyndsey, he began speaking slowly and deliberately. "Yes, I'm sure I was aware of what you felt, but I think I was putting it out of my mind, and I had the feeling that you were doing the same, or trying to at least. Am I right?" "Yes." "And you nearly came out with it when we were having dinner, didn't you?" "It's very dangerous for me when I drink too much." "Have you told Susan?" "I haven't, but she knows, I can tell." "Oh." "Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with anything here. You and Susan are deeply in love with each other, no question. It's obvious to anyone who sees you together. I know my sister, and she's been like someone who's won the lottery jackpot ever since she met you. Maybe that's a problem. I'm so close to her that it would be impossible for me not to like you. The problem is how strange my feelings are." "You're not going away because of me, are you?" "Pretty much, yes." "Now I feel rotten." "Good. No, you know I didn't mean that." "Yes." Silence. Then John spoke again. "Maybe if I had an identical twin, that would have solved the problem." "Maybe. Twins have married twins lots of times. But I don't think so, really. Women choose partners for who they are more than what they look like. So unless he had the same personality as yours, I wouldn't be interested. And if he had, it would be a nightmare. Imagine if I had the same personality as Susan." "No, I don't even want to think about that." They were both smiling now a bit. "Airports aren't designed for emotional outpourings, are they? Perhaps the architects don't want anything to get in the way of moving people about efficiently. God, I bet I look a mess. Good job I'm not wearing makeup. It'd be all over my face by now. I like you without it. You look all young and clean." "Thank you. I don't mind a bit of mascara on a model, but most people don't need all this stuff they sell with lies like anti-aging and contains Ziggurat B with extra bicycle clips." Lyndsey laughed. "There you go. You feeling a bit better?" "A bit. I'm glad you said it." "Are you sure? I am too, then. I was convinced I was in love with this girl 8 years ago when I was 19. She was one of our group of friends that had been together since we were children. But I always thought she was too good for me. University happened and we all drifted apart. She married a good-looking Cambridge graduate and has 3 children. Last year one of my mates told me how much this girl wanted me and how amazed he was that neither of us said anything. And nothing. Life goes on. She's happy, I'm happy, you're going to be happy. Do you believe that?" "Yes, but it still hurts now." "You're the now expert. When does it become a different now? When I'm happy too?" "Sooner than you think, I hope. I mean that. And make sure you tell me when, please. I'll try and be really happy as well." "Thank you for staying with me." She stood up suddenly. "I'm going now. I can do this. Just don't say goodbye and don't touch me or I'll disintegrate." John stood up and felt useless as she picked up her bag and walked over to the departure gate. He watched her as she handed over her passport and boarding card for inspection without looking back. He caught a glimpse of her beyond the gate chatting to another passenger. Just before she disappeared altogether, he caught sight of her behind a glass plate partition. She had her hands on the glass as she tried to peer through. He waved, but he was sure she couldn't see him. He phoned Susan. Mission accomplished. She's on her way with everything she needs. Was she all right? Not really. Floods of tears, but I made her smile a bit. I'm going to miss her. Me too. You know she loves you. Yes, she said as much. Well, she can't have you. She knows that. And you? I know that too. Good. Anyway, you're too much for me, so why would I want anyone else? Come home this minute. Yes, milady. He put his car park ticket into the machine. It was just out of time, so he paid the extra cost.